Hi, guys. It's me, Sandy. I'm in my home. And yes, I've poured a glass of wine on Sunday because I wanted to walk through the store and tell you a little bit about the clippings I put in books at my store. I went in 2 hours early at 10 o'clock this morning, and I am telling you, I was spied from the outside of my store. I was never alone in my store, even though it wasn't even open until noon. So for 2 hours, I chatted with you guys and I opened the store, but I didn't get my video done. Silly. So what I went in to do was to walk through my champagne and raspberries table and tell you a little bit about my clippings process and how I come to books. And a lot of you who've been around forever know that we put little clippings in the books which tell you why, if I'm not there to tell you, I like them. I buy the books and I tell you if I'm not there through these clippings. I love this book because of this. So you'll find it folded up in here. This is probably my top pick for raspberries, this one too. And I was printing out a bunch of Kirkus reviews, which is one that I value. It's it's a reviewer of books that I value above all others. And here's why. Because when I first started in Bookland, I heard that it was independent, like me, and that they didn't report to anybody like Cooks Illustrated or Consumer Reports. And so I could trust what they had to say. And I didn't think that much more about it until this morning when I looked up. I just wanted to be sure before I put these out for you that they're still independent, because there's been so much conglomerating in the publishing land that I wanted to be sure that they're still independent and didn't get sold like so many things to, you know who. And so I was transported by what I read. And in fact, I have some of it. I think this is her college, Vassar, about a distinguished alum, which is Virginia Kirkus. She started it in 1933, Virginia Kirkus. And what a story. I love it because she was born in 1893. She graduated from Vassar and later Teachers College at Columbia and was a teacher for a while, but then entered the world of publishing. And what she found was that booksellers and librarians back in 1933 had no idea, other than what the publishers told them about their books coming out, which of course they had an interest in selling themselves. Not that they were being dishonest, but booksellers and librarians back then had no independent source. So she decided, I'm it. And she had no business background, just about 14 years in publishing, but she started Kirkus Reviews, my kind of woman. In 1933, she started it, and the difficulty was in getting the publishers to give her the galleys, which is advanced copies of books they had coming out, knowing that she was going to give them a very concise review of their books for librarians and booksellers. And the thing I love about that objectivity was that she knew enough of the publishers, and she became valued as a source so much that publishers, even if she gave them a ho-hum review, even for one they had paid a lot for, they kept giving her the goods, and did until she retired maybe 45 years later. She sold it, but it had stayed independent, and it's a great story on its own. But just so you know, what she does is, in a very regular, brief, and informal, impartial way, tells us about the actual reading experience. And it's always in the same format. Like, for example, this is one, her starred reviews. I call it her, she died, but are one of the hardest to get, or the most valued, because it is independent. So a Kirkus starred review means something completely different from a Publisher's Weekly starred review. And I absolutely loved this book. She starts with a description, always, and then a very short synopsis, which is sort of what I tell my booksellers. You can say this about this book. They're always pithy, always brilliant, as is the longer synopsis in the middle. I love this about Gunkel. I wish I'd written it. She wrote a novel with some real depth beneath all its witty froth. That exactly encapsulates what it is. This is one I'm so excited about. It's the professor of psychology examines the most crucial conversation with ourselves. It's about our neuroscience, our internal chatter, a book that will truly change minds. So I want to point out to you a couple things that I absolutely trust this reviewer. You'll find her all over, and even in Champagne and Raspberries when her things don't, when she doesn't give a star to My Babies, I really value that opinion. And I think it's true about this book. It's a bit dry in spots, but Addison's crafty enthusiasm is infectious. At Raspberries, I'm going to tell you why the hidden wisdom of objects, fewer better things is the idea. It's so perfect for maybe even just 5% of you, and maybe she's right that it's kind of for the museum minded, but I'm telling you, I really am so glad that they gave it a good review, and I'm so glad that I get to tell you about it. The other interesting thing before I go to tell you is that they're definitely in mind to books that are not just literary in terms of who they give stars to, like that one. It's also what librarians and booksellers really want to know, which are people going to love this book? Yes. Emily Henry wrote one of our best-selling books ever, Beach Read. This is her new one. And this is exactly right. A Warm and Winning When Harry Met Sally. I'm sorry, a Warm and Winning When Harry Met Sally update that hits all the perfect notes. I can't wait to have you meet Virginia, and I'll talk to you at Raspberries on Sunday.